Good evening, everyone. A Missouri teen, Kaylee Gain, has been beaten into critical condition and literally a coma by another teen, and there's a reason that you're not hearing about that on mainstream media. We'll talk about that tonight. We're also going to be talking about the fact that Donald Trump, yet again, was right. And he seems to be right about most of the things that he says. Now, he'll exaggerate. Every fish is bigger. Every ball was hit further, and that kind of thing. But everything that the left, the media, the institutions of powers, especially academia, say about Donald Trump is a lie. We'll talk about that. For the first time, I don't know why it's taken this long, but we're going to be talking about the Whatever podcast and asking, is it so good or no good, which is a good cultural topic. So let us know what you think in the chat. The Whatever podcast, so good or no good? Let us know. And it is the TikTok-apocalypse. It's so hard to say this. TikTok-apocalypse. I said it like 3 times in my kitchen. TikTok-apocalypse. Guys, the House has voted to ban TikTok. It's going over to the Senate. It went through committee in just lightning fast. It went through the House. I think it was a unanimous vote. So it's really interesting. The internet's going crazy with conjecture, and I hate to say it. I hate these words to leave my lips, but with a lot of misinformation, just a lot of bullcrap about this bill because reading is hard, and it's clear that very few people open the bill, and we open the bill. It's short, it's sweet, it's a very tidy piece of legislation. We're going to be talking about that and more, and it all starts right now. Guys, tonight's show is brought to you by us, The Joe Mobley Show. Make sure you head over to thejoemobleyshow.com/shop to get the very best gear that you need. You need to wear it while you watch the show. And maybe you need to wear some of it to work or out with your friends. It starts good conversations. All of the proceeds go towards making the show and just helping us to be able to restore, rebuild, and revive America's dying culture better. If you want to support other companies, you can look for the show on Public Square. Public Square gets a little piece. We get a little piece. There's the Rumble Rants. I think Samantha's YouTube channel is monetized. Mine is not. So you could support Outspoken Samantha on Outspoken Samantha's YouTube channel, or Rumble, because all Rumble videos are monetized, and you can give her some actually, I don't know if you can drop a Rumble rant, a paid Rumble rant in a normal video that's not live. Anyway, let us know. We'll be checking in with the chat periodically. TheJoeMobleyShow.com/shop, again, is the sponsor of tonight's show. Use promo code FREEDOM, and you get 10% off. Samantha, how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Good. Did you say who's on tonight?
I did. That was me.
You're on tonight.
I'm on tonight. Lucky
You're
us,
hired.
everybody. You're welcome.
Oh, I got to turn on my light. How have you been?
Good. As ever, it has been an interesting week. I meant to bring it in here and I forgot to grab it. I just purchased Peter Schweitzer's new book, Blood Money. Highly recommend it, guys. Ooh. I'm only 10 pages in and it's already keeping me awake at night. So it's pretty much about China's involvement in our country in pretty much every way that they are attacking us. So
nice.
It's so far super interesting. Just barely scratching the surface of the whole fentanyl situation, but getting information that I can get for free and that, Harvard grads are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars not to get. So
oh man, which one? Was it a great American author or poet said, never let your schooling get in the way of your education? Was it Mark Twain? I think Mark Twain might have said
That
that.
sounds like a Mark Twain type quote for sure. I don't know who it was, but
It wasn't me. I can't steal that, but uh,
you
yeah,
know,
it's
and
funny.
actually crediting the correct people for their work is not a big deal these days. So you can take credit all you want.
Yeah, I'm black. I can do what I want. I once said, never let your schooling get in the way of your education.
Exactly.
I've kind of
Exactly. Put it on.
stalled. I've stalled out reading Greg Kogel's Tactics. It's a good book, but the last like quarter I've been stuck on. I've been reading like a page a day instead of 30
Hmm.
pages a day. Um,
Hmm.
I'm so stalled out. I've picked up other books. I'm also reading The Way of Men, which is an interesting book, but the worldview piece isn't there. So you need to identify in Christ as a man before you dive into a book like that, or as a woman if you're reading The Way of Men. Just to know. Um,
Yeah.
but I started listening to the audiobook of the Screw Tape Letters, and the guy who reads it does a phenomenal job with all the demon
Hmm.
voices and the little British accent. It's so good. I texted it to my wife immediately. I was like, you got to listen to this. It's so good. But I don't think I'm
Well,
ever
I
going to
will
finish this.
definitely. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. And I always have the intention of, I understand that audiobooks would be a lot more convenient, um, easier to get through, probably a lot faster. But there's just something about sitting down with a book and with the pages. So I I prefer that. It's a much longer process, that's for sure. But yeah.
There's nothing like it. It just hits different. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, you retain more when you read the physical book. Um, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I do audiobooks because I can't read a book." It's like, no, 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 no. You can. You just are too lazy to. You don't want to do it. And books are free. You can get them from the library. Um,
Yeah.
anyways,
No, absolutely. Well, and I just a little side note. I mean, as for audiobooks, it is the one way that I can get my 11-year-old to pay attention to a book. He's one of those kids that cannot sit still. He's got to be like doing something with his hands. He's got to be moving around. He's got to be jumping. Give him an audiobook, and regardless of what he's doing, he can be like painting the house, and he will listen to the whole thing and be able to recite it back. So I he absorbs everything. It's absolutely astounding to me, because you just look at
nice.
this kid, you're like, there is no way that you absorbed even one syllable of that book, yet he'll sit down and say the whole thing. So I have an appreciation for audiobooks, but I do think whenever possible, just pick up the physical book. And yeah, I hope we can hang on to that as long as possible before AI takes over.
One can hope.
Yeah.
All right. We're putting up really good numbers tonight. Thank you guys for watching the show. You're probably like, when are we going to get into one of the topics? so, uh, before we start this one, I hate trigger warnings as much as the next guy. But this video can be disturbing to some audiences, especially those who aren't accustomed to witnessing or viewing violence. So this long sentence is your time to get any eyes or ears that shouldn't or don't want to see or hear this to remove themselves, and that's how long I can make the sentence. All right, so yeah, we'll just watch the video. So this happened, I think, what was it, Saturday or Sunday? There's some
Hmm.
language.
Yeah, like the high school violence.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is definitely a bit of a disturbing video, but unfortunately, it's an extremely normal and honestly, for living in the hood, it's kind of a mundane, like, oh, it's just a bunch of street trash fighting. Like, this is a typical
Hmm.
ghetto scene. Um, but
Hmm.
obviously, like, this chick's parents, the black girl, I can tell they don't hold her accountable for anything. I've been in a number of fights. I've won 95% of my fights. I've never gotten on top of someone and bashed their head into the ground, which the reasonable person standard, that's what you do when you're trying to kill someone. She fractured her skull. This girl is in a coma in critical condition. I believe she's still alive. The last time I checked was like 12 o'clock noon this afternoon. Um,
Hmm.
but the reason that you haven't heard of this, if you haven't heard of this, is because the aggressor is black and the victim is white. That's why you
Hmm.
haven't heard of this. And it's outrageous. You need to identify that the media does this. The media is gaslighting you because they're making you think that all crime is perpetrated by racist white men with beer bellies and MAGA hats and fully automatic, rifles. But it's not. 8 out of 10 violent crimes in this country are this. Actually, it's not this. This is an oddity. 8 out of 10 violent crimes in the United States is a black person perpetrating crime against another black person. So this is actually an atypical scene. But curious what your thoughts are.
Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts about this one. I did see the video a few days ago when it first came out, and it is really unfortunate that this is normal. How many times a day do you see these school fights across social media? And it's astounding to me that it's so normal to these kids that are involved in them that their first instinct is to bust out their phone and to start to take a video.
Yep.
It just shows how desensitized these kids have become to it. I remember when I was in school, and school fights, at least where I was, were not that common. I mean, and if there was a fight that was coming, we usually knew exactly who it was going to be between, and everybody knew about this conflict beforehand. But it wasn't something that most students were engaging in, and definitely nobody was going into that fight with the intent to like permanently harm or kill the other person. And I think it just goes to show, especially like these kids have no concept of long-term consequences, of permanent consequences. It's almost like they're detachment from reality because they spend so much time on social media. It's like they don't understand the repercussions of their actions in the real world. Um,
Of permanent
and I
it's
think it just
it's
goes to
almost
show,
absolutely
these kids detachment from reality because
no
they spend so much time
concept.
on social media. It's like if you guys can hear an echo. Um,
Sorry, that was me.
it's so disturbing that this happened. And I don't know if anybody has been following this story and saw any of the update posts from Libs of TikTok. This particular high school has ironically won awards for their participation in DEI programs, in
Wow.
implementing DEI curriculum. So, if DEI is so beneficial to people and it's really benefiting people's health, mental health, and it's really uplifting students and making a more inclusive environment, why is it that so many schools are practically war zones at this point? I mean, good teachers are leaving the education system, and the number one reason that they cite is student behavior. And it's not just snotty students, it's not just students back talking, it's the fact that they're getting like desks thrown at them, they're getting punches thrown at them. It's just not even a safe environment for anybody. So clearly there's a disconnect between what the radical left says that they intend to teach, and the values that they want to instill in these kids, and what it is that the implications of what it is that they're actually learning.
Yep. It's super frustrating. It's super annoying, and I wish people's parents held them to account. And I wish that we stopped pretending like the number one problem in this country is racism, extremism, alt right, ultra MAGA, whatever ism, and instead say the problem with the country is moral decay, is our education system is a complete laughingstock, and we doubled down and made it worse with the COVID lockdowns, and now they're just saying, oh, kids can't read. Well, in reality, kids couldn't read before COVID, but the kids who grew up with COVID and had that 2 year disruption, they're just extra screwed. They're probably not going to vote because they're not going to be able to read any of the stuff on the ballot. What are we going to do it with crayons? And they're going to be like, oh, use the red one or the blue one. And they'll be color coordinated. And how are they going to read? How are they going to read the questions when it comes to matters of law or local ordinance that are on the ballot? I have no idea.
They're not going to. And it's actually interesting. I was listening, I can't remember the name of the girl whose channel this is on, but she's, of the Gen Z generation, but she is, pretty conservative. She's trying to wake her peers up and help them recognize the insanity that they've been indoctrinated with. But she was talking about something called learned helplessness. And basically, she used the example of how you'll have all these people reading through TikTok or they're scrolling through social media. And, for an example, they'll be talking about a restaurant or some food that they have, and they'll list the name of the restaurant and all of the details in the description box, and they'll even talk about it. But still, they'll get, tons of questions at what food did you eat? They'll have all of these people asking questions about everything that they were just told. And I think it's a matter of this generation. They just want things to be handed to them. They just want things to be told to them. It's also why they grab on so easily to just headlines and hashtags and talking points, and they don't feel like they have to do any research. So when it comes to things like a ballot and whether or not they're going to be able to read what things are actually about, they're to the point where they don't even care. They're just going to go with what they're told, give them one sentence. It doesn't even have to be true. And that is what they're going to base their vote on.
100%. Well, good news story is the AG of Missouri is looking to charge the 15-year-old girl, that would be the one on top, bashing Kaylee's head into the ground. They're looking to charge her as an adult. 100% she should be charged as an adult. This is... Oh, why? I don't know why did I change a button? Yeah, I keep sending it over to you. Sorry. But yeah,
it's okay.
This is a good news story, in my opinion. Yes. 15 is definitely a good age to try people as adults for committing violent crime like this. Gun-related crime, now, if a 15-year-old is out and they've got some marijuana, maybe they're even selling marijuana to their friends, I don't necessarily think they need to be charged as an adult. But when they're out committing robberies, committing assaults, obviously aggravated battery, malicious wounding, anything like this, fracturing people's skulls, they need to go to prison. Sorry, not sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I 100% believe that this young lady, she made an adult decision. She literally tried to kill this girl. Whether, in that moment, that's actually, where her mind was going. There are adult consequences to adult behaviors. And I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know if it's gentle parenting that led up to this or no parenting that led up to this moment, but at some point, reality is going to come back to bite every single one of these kids in the butt. And it just is what it is. I have sympathy for however she was raised. And, clearly this is not somebody who comes from a healthy home life, because people that come from a healthy home life don't treat other human beings this way. And it's unfortunate that, she's acting out probably in a way that is a reflection of how she was raised, but it is what it is,
Yep.
These are the consequences.
Yep, 100%. Throw the book at this
Yep.
chick. I would say the reasonable person standard, I think 10 out of 10 reasonable people understand that smacking someone's head repeatedly against concrete could reasonably be expected to kill them. This is worse than any knee on neck or anything like that. And I'm not going to play it again, but the audio of her head and her body bouncing around and smacking into the concrete is pretty terrible. So
Yeah.
on that note, we're not going to watch it now, but I will put the link is not below, but I will drop the link in the chat. This coverage that I'm dropping right now is just really excellent coverage and a really excellent way. I forget who the doctor who's in it, this woman here, but it's just a really excellent way of addressing the behavior and the shortcomings in the home. But it also mentions that there's a GoFundMe for Kaylee Gain, and there should be. They've just surpassed 100,000, so they're just into six figures raising funds. But her medical bills are gonna be exorbitant because she's in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can give to that, the links in all of the chats. It's on Twitter, it's on Rumble, it's on Facebook and YouTube. And if you're watching somewhere else, I don't know how. Oh, I guess there's Getter. So yeah, there's still people over on Getter. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
And if you're a podcast listener, then rate and review the show, because Apple loves it when you like faith-based conservative commentary shows on their platform. It's their favorite. So we are gonna do a fun little. Oh no, did I screw this up? Before we do a fun little segment, I want to talk about Next Benedict, who can I just say, Samantha called it, I called it, everyone with a pulse and a couple of things bouncing around in between their ears called it. Next Benedict has reportedly died by suicide, which is extremely sad. We don't want to lose anyone to suicide. Vets, first responders, children, teens going through crisis. Again, I forget who said suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So there's life, there's hope, there's so many things on the other side of these crises. And Libs of TikTok did not kill this woman, this young girl. Bullies, bigots, white supremacists, transphobia did not kill this young woman. And in all honesty, in my view, speaking for myself, not for Samantha, but I've watched enough of her content to know what she's going to say. Not just mental illness and confusion killed this girl, but studies show that affirmation and affirming behavior of psychosis or delusions increases suicidality, right of affirming care by 30%. So the people who are unwilling to tell someone dealing with the particular mental illness that Next was dealing with, the people unwilling to say, hey, you know, this isn't right, but I love you anyway, I'm here no matter what. The people who weren't willing to take that stand are the people who contributed to her decline and untimely death. Not us, not Christians, not MAGA white men, not conservatives, not Donald Trump. The data is in. Affirming care, gender affirming care, or however else you could put it, trans affirming language, all of that stuff, the stuff you're trying to beat over our heads. The studies, the science says that's what killed her. But I know you got thoughts on this one.
This is one I've been talking about, since it happened. And, it really is unfortunate because even watching the police cam video of this young girl, she seemed really nice. She seemed really sweet. A point that I made on Twitter today that seems to have gotten a lot of attention is not that, she didn't take her own life because of bullying. As the media has been portraying this as something that happened to an LGBTQ student because, rampant bullying is happening against these people, against any kid that identifies as something that's non-traditional, that takes on one of these alphabet identities, and it needs to stop. And also, in order to save their lives, we need all of this legislation that allows them to change their pronouns and their names and get surgeries that mutilate their bodies. So that is what her death has been used for. And of course, they pushed this narrative before we had any facts about what really happened, because they wanted to exploit her trauma and her situation before we could find out, the truth of the matter, which was that this girl came from a broken home. This girl was being raised by her grandmother. And, I immediately, you can tell that there's something wrong in her life when she is in the permanent care of somebody that is not her parents.
Yep.
And that is not to say that grandparents can't, be loving and kind, wonderful people to raise their kids, or to raise their grandkids. But 99.9% of the time, anytime a child is put in the permanent custody of someone that is not their parents, there is something that has gone wrong in that situation, and it has to have been pretty serious. And we are learning that next, her dad is in prison, that her dad abused her in some way, and is in prison. So, all of us could see that there was trauma behind the scenes, that there was some other issue going on. So her trauma and her situation in life and her mental health did not start the day that she decided to change her pronouns. It didn't start the day that somebody started bullying her about being a little bit different. It started early in her childhood and carried on with her. And for whatever reason, all of this trauma that is piled on to this 16-year-old girl got to be too much. And, I don't think that anybody could really blame her for that. It's really sad that it came to that. But the fact is, if you listen to any number of detransitioners, every single one of them will tell you about a mental health issue or trauma in their background that led them to the point of wanting to be somebody that they're not, of wanting to change their identity because it's an escape for them. But in no way is it a help to these people. It is not going to cure them. There is no way that you can cure trauma and mental illness by piling on another mental illness.
Nope. Speaking of another mental illness, despite facts that fly in the face of this nonsense, President Joseph R. Biden tweeted out, "In memory of next, we must all recommit to our work to end discrimination and address the suicide crisis," just like he said when she mysteriously died, when the story first broke. Suicide crisis impacting too many non-binary and transgender children. Okay, so what's true about this? In memory of next, okay, that's true. We must all recommit to... you could say that's true. Our work to end discrimination. No, that's where the lies come in right there. Discrimination was not a contributing factor. You feel that way, you say that, and all of your dumb paid off media is going to parrot that. But there is zero empirical evidence that discrimination or that people not agreeing with you or that me not saying your pronouns, even though I call all of you people by your name, because you can change your name or be called whatever you want. My name's Joseph. I go by Joe. I expect that people call me Joe. I don't care what you go by, but pronouns, give me a break.
Yeah.
Nothing about this is true.
No, absolutely not. Well, and first of all, important fact in case anybody forgot, Nex started that fight. She is the one who instigated that physical fight. These girls were making rude comments to her, and spoiler alert, that's something that you deal with every single day, even as an adult. Like, the messages that I get sometimes are just wonderful.
You don't throw water or nondescript chemical agents at people when they hurt your feelings. What are you talking about?
No, right? Nope, that's apparently considered assault. So that is something that I don't do. But she is the one who started that fight. Secondly, in this statement where he's talking about, we want to talk about the suicide crisis that is impacting non-binary and LGBTQ people, however he worded that statement is discriminatory in and of itself, because he's not talking about the fact that this crisis is affecting all students under the age, this age group is in an absolute mental health crisis right now. Suicide rates are off the charts for this group, but the only group that he is mentioning are the people that belong to the alphabet mafia, and he is discriminating every other kid that is struggling right now.
Not to can I just say, we're gonna do it live. I never bring this platform up. Got to be super careful here, just because.
OnlyFans?
No. We are getting to some OnlyFans stuff, but no. Let's see. Let me just check. I'm bringing up my LinkedIn. Okay, here we go. Yeah, because there are definitely some considerations with LinkedIn and the type of work that I do. Anyway, this is a tweet. This is a post from Sean Moore, who was founder with her husband of Operation Frontline Families, an excellent veterans ministry. But after some 12, 13 years of dealing with suicidal tendencies and attending all of the various therapies, her husband, who is United States Army vet, killed himself over the weekend, I believe. So this is them, but 22, 23, 24 veterans or active duty service members are committing suicide every day. Biden doesn't give a crap. He's their boss. He's the commander in chief, and he says nothing about it ever. Not even when he goes to FOBs or goes out onto military installations. You know, he's accepting of the burning of this flag. Just miss me with you care about people committing suicide bullcrap when you're doing this for political gain and to stir up your stupid little woke base, because they're going to be like, yeah, dying teens are bad. Donald Trump killed her. MAGA snuck into her house and threw water on her and beat her to death. That's why she's dead. This is reality, and Joe Biden's Twitter is the Capitol and the Hunger Games. It's just total nonsense.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why I say, the message that he sent was discriminatory in and of itself, because he doesn't care about the suicide crisis that is affecting every other group of people right now. How many millions of people are feeling just so completely hopeless right now because of the fact that every aspect of American life is in crisis. We're in this downward spiral. And yeah, he is the commander in chief over the military. He has more ties to them than he does to a high school in Oklahoma. Yet for some reason, he can pick out this one student's name in this podunk town in the middle of nowhere, but he has nothing to say about all of these service members. He should know every single one of their names, and he should be respecting them every single day.
Since we're talking about suicide, this is an Anchorbox. And Anchorbox is an awesome company. I want to say ministry, but I don't think that they're religious. But if you've ever been suicidal, you might recognize this little box. But Anchorbox, if you guys want to spread some positivity in your community, you can get one of these. They're free. They send them to you. I got a bunch of these at work at my last several jobs. And they're really for first responders and military. But you put them in places that we frequent, the bars that vets go to, or the kind of places that first responders frequent. A lot of times you'll see something like this at a coffee shop. But it's a bunch of stuff. There's 52 Reasons to Live card deck in all of their boxes. There are notes, and every box has a serial number, so they move all around. I've put dozens out in my community. I keep two. I keep a couple with me just in case. I've got a ton of friends that are still in law enforcement, still in the military, and if we're not going to support each other, then Joe Biden certainly isn't.
Right.
So, as someone who's stood on the bridge and stepped off of it, this topic is important to me. Sorry, I didn't step off the bridge. I got off the bridge. So, still here and still kicking. And thankfully, I don't really deal with any of that anymore. All right. So we have to get into lighter-hearted topics. So it's time for the Whatever podcast. Before, oh no, it's not. It's time for Fact or Crap. So we'll see if this is a segment that's going to happen again in the future. I thought it would be fun to do Fact or Crap, so we'll just play a couple of little shorts. And we will vote together, Samantha and I and you, the audience, whether this is a fact or crap. I cannot hit the right button tonight. Goodness gracious. All right, here we go. First one, fact or crap.
Are stronger and bigger than us. Because men are stronger and bigger than us, if we have a weapon, they can always wrestle it out of us and use it against us. For that purpose, I actually started training like BJJ. So.
Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you think that if a guy could wrestle a gun away from you, which is about the deadliest object you can have, that he's not going to have a massive advantage over you if you know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
There's going to be some language in these clips.
Yeah, so in my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, like one of her friends, she's a purple belt, and she was attacked by 2 people, and she broke all their legs, and it was like on the news. So
that never happened. Your friend was not attacked by 2 men and then broke their legs. That's absurd.
4'11" girl attacked.
Your 4'11" girlfriend did not break a bunch of men's legs.
Because men are stronger and.
All right, so fact or crap? Super feminist chick says, with all of her girl power energy, women, you don't need a firearm. You can just learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you have a gun, that bigger, faster, stronger man's just going to beat you and take it away from you. If you don't have a gun, the bigger, faster, stronger man, and maybe even his friend, can come up to you and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you'll just... What do we think?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do I think that a 4'11" girl is going to break these guys' legs? No. I don't think that is something that happened. I do think that there is a lot of value in learning how to defend yourself physically and learning self-defense. But when it comes to who's going to inflict more damage, like you, the girl who knows jiu-jitsu, or the guy that just took your gun away, it's going to be the guy with the gun. So I don't know. I think I might have to go with crap on this one.
Yeah, I'm going with total crap. I don't believe... I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've trained with a lot of women. Everyone who's a practitioner, John Lovell, who's an Army Ranger and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, he tells you if it's 2 or more combatants, run. The reality is, it's exceedingly difficult for one person, man, woman, child, girl, whatever, to fight multiple people with their hands. That's so no, absolutely. I would call bullcrap for most men to say they were accosted by 2 men and they beat them both up and broke their legs. No. For that reason, I call bullcrap. And what's his... Oh, I forget his name. He's a Navy SEAL. He's got like really long beard, long hair. His podcast is called something or other. He does Truck Talk with whatever his name is. He said, look, guys, he said, I'm a Navy SEAL. Tough guy, killed a lot of people. I know a lot of martial arts. I train MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he says, when I'm out on the street, I carry a gun because you can't rely on your hands and feet and fist to protect your life. Like, this is the stupidest thing.
No.
I say the stupidest thing, but then we have the ladies at the View. All right, so fact or crap?
If you shoot with an AR-15, let's say you shoot a deer, you can't eat it.
Seems like I can.
Because you basically demolish
In addition
the
to
animal.
that, but the hunt is about an actual difficult process, not massacring bodies of any kind.
This is the typical hunting rifle bullet, and this is a tiny 22 caliber AR-15 bullet. As you can see, it doesn't massacre the deer.
If you shoot with an AR-15, let's
All right, so the claim is kind of trifold. You can't hunt with an AR-15. In Virginia, you can't hunt with a 5.56 or 223 round. It's illegal, which is stupid. But the claim is you can't hunt with an AR-15. The bullet, one said eviscerates the animal, but the other one was massacres the animal. Yeah. I'm not really sure what that is. Like, you shot a deer and his 10 deer friends drop dead too. Like, you're the John Wick of hunting deer. But I love that I paused it on. She says, you can't eat the meat. She says, but I can.
Right.
Yeah, so what do you think about this?
Is the entire meat section at the grocery store, are those all of the animals that were not killed with AR-15s? I want to know what method they were killed with, because apparently we're just wasting a bunch of animals out there. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert, but I don't think I need to be. I mean, it came from The View, so obviously it's going to be total crap. But I think I remember a congresswoman a while ago talking about this same thing, about how, hunting animals with an AR-15 basically just blows, eviscerates them. It's almost like they just disintegrate. It's like they poof into this bloody mist. I don't know. It's just, I think that people that don't know what they're talking about shouldn't be talking about these things.
Yeah, so for all of you, these are the scary bullets we carry in our semi-automatic handguns. They're very small. That second bullet there is the typical AR-15 round. You could get AR-15s chambered in a bunch of different things, but typically people say the military-style rifle, the AR-15, which is not an assault rifle, it's an Armalite rifle per its patent. That's what AR stands for. It was created by Eugene Stoner. It used to be called the Stoner rifle back when he worked for, I forget the name of the company. But anyway, he sold the design to Armalite and went to work for them. So that little green tip one is, actually I have those too. Yeah, I actually have a green tip. This little green tip, which is not armor piercing for the idiots that think that. It's a small round. The rounds on the left are hunting rounds.
Yeah. Well, still, I mean, and just in my non-expert brain, I'm looking at those, and, people that go hunting, they typically go hunting with the goal of using the animal that they are hunting. So they're not going to use a weapon that is going to blow the animals to smithereens. That's not the goal, because they're not out there just
them?
Yeah, they're not going on this deer massacre. They're not out there taking them down by the hundreds. They're going to, get one or two animals where they can use the majority of the meat for, their meals and things. So it doesn't take a lot of logic. You don't have to be an expert.
We're sorry, Joy Reid. It looks like we are giving you crap on this one. All right, so kind of segueing into the next topic. Here we go. The last fact or crap. Michael Knowles on the Whatever podcast with some, I don't know, woke feminist chick. I don't really know her name. Here we go.
You can't raise a family in America for the average person today on one income. And that's a result of women entering the workforce and wages decrease, which is why not only the radical left, but also the more commercially minded right wing was in favor of that. It's the same reason they're in favor of mass migration. It just lowers wages for people. A lot of women, however, seem to feel not that they have the choice to go to work, but that they have to. And this is expressed in a famous study that came out of UPenn and was published by Yale in 2008, which was the paradox of declining female happiness. And I love the way this study opens up. Right in the abstract it says, despite the past 35 years showing so much marked progress and improvement in the lives of women, women's happiness, according to this meta-analysis, has declined, both absolutely and relative to men. Women, in particular, became less happy, despite all these objective improvements to their lives. So, to me, the obvious rejoinder to that is, well, maybe those objective improvements, namely feminism, maybe that wasn't an objective good. Maybe that was just illusory. You can't raise a family.
All right, so the claim from the left is that feminism is the best thing to happen since sliced bread, greater than Jesus and greater than Gandhi and greater than the Industrial Revolution. If those three had a baby, it would be feminism. And it's resulted in boss babes and women in the boardroom. And that is good and is helping women thrive and flourish. Michael Knowles is saying that the data on that says that's not quite true. So our question to you audience is fact or crap? Feminism is the love child of Jesus and Gandhi and the Industrial Revolution.
100% true.
True.
So is the question if feminism has made women happier, or that all of these like so-called improvements have made them happier?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts on this as well, but I'll try and keep it short. First of all, you need to define what improvements are, because I feel like so much of society today, especially the way men and women think, everything is measured about it's measured in this realm of what you contribute to the workforce, what your job is, what your income is, what your paycheck looks like, what your retirement looks like. And nobody seems to be thinking about building a life as a family, as a whole, as a unit. Jobs and income, those things fluctuate through your entire life, but seems to be the only thing that everybody is focused on. And women, like, we weren't made to do that. I mean, yes, we can work and there's not a problem with us working, but because of the way that we are made, we're nurturers, we're caregivers, we were meant to raise children. That is where we are happiest. We were meant to take care of us.
I'm sorry. I have to stop this bigotry on the show.
I know.
Fully canceled.
It's my internalized misogyny.
Your body, your choice. And I say your choice is working.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the more that we try to behave like men, the more that we pursue careers and all of these things, we're not getting any happier. That's because we're steering further and further away from the thing that we were meant to do. And I get so tired of hearing all these women, because I listen to a lot of these, I kind of binge watch these guys they respond to women on TikTok who go on TikTok and cry about getting a divorce, or they give really bad advice to women about dating or whatever it is, or they talk about how, women have improved themselves so much and now there aren't enough men to go for the high quality women and all these things. But everything is measured on the paycheck that you bring in. And that is something, yes, it's important. Obviously, you need to survive, but that's not the measure of human happiness. It's about what two people are bringing to the household and building as a unit and fulfilling this thing that actually does make people happy. So, yeah, feminism has just made women absolutely miserable, and they still blame men for all of it, for their misery.
It's funny you said it depends on how we define improvements. The funniest thing about the UPenn study that was published by Yale is they let women define improvements, happiness, good, all of those things subjectively, however they wanted. And they still, on every metric, said, we are feeling worse. So they're saying, hey, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can make up the rules. You can make up the reality of the study and just tell us how you're crushing it. So they made up the game rules, And then they said, yeah, we are not crushing it. And it's like,
Yeah.
no one is, it's like that, it's that SNL skit where Kristen Wiig is like, everyone's making me sing. And the party guests are like, no one's making you sing. And she's like, everyone needs me to sing. I have to sing. Don't make me sing. And it's like, no one's making you sing. No one is making you pretend to be a dude. And it used to be a misnomer. Now it's a nomer. We weren't trying to make you pretend to be a dude, and now you're actually pretending to be a dude with a sock in your underwear, and you're taking hormones to grow a beard.
Yeah.
No, just stop.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and I think, one of the biggest problems too is that feminism has made it impossible for women to acknowledge that perhaps they do want to get married and have a family and to raise kids. It's still looked down upon, and it's like, first of all, stop caring what everybody else thinks, and don't take advice from women who are clearly miserable. They're out there, they're single, they're getting to be their mid-30s, early 40s, and they're not married. They don't have anything but their career. And I'm sorry, good for you, but that's not really anything to brag about, because anybody can have a career. It takes people that are truly interested in happiness and joy and, fulfillment and bettering themselves to actually want to raise a family and to make sacrifices and to partner with somebody in life.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait, was that a fact or crap? I think
so
we're
yes,
gonna
it
say
is a
that's
fact
a
that
fact.
feminism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Feminism is
man.
making women miserable.
So we only really have time for one more. Do we want to do TikTok, or we want to do the whatever podcast?
I don't care. I'll let you decide. Let's talk about TikTok.
All right. Well, if you guys haven't heard, it's the TikTokalypse. Yeah, I got it. Woo! It's the TikTokalypse. Oh, the United States House of Representatives voted this week to effectively ban TikTok from the United States, or have the one controlling interest, one person, that's all, divest themselves from TikTok. Anyway, the things that you're not hearing in the media, you're not hearing HR 7521. You are not hearing Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. You're not hearing any of that. You're just hearing people's opinions and a bunch of nonsense about what this bill does, and it's the apocalypse. It's gonna cause Biden to be able to close down Al Gore's internet, and then Trump's going to get elected, and it's going to allow him to be permanent emperor forever, and it's going to make it so that the NSA can reach inside everyone's phone and computer and watch you while you sleep and listen through your Amazon Alexa devices. Oh, wait, that happened in 2001. Anyway, what the act does is let's read it together, because no one wants to read this thing. I'm not going to tell you my opinion about what the bill does. I'm going to tell you what the bill does. Here's the bill, folks. In general, this is a prohibition of foreign adversary-controlled applications. It shall be unlawful for an entity to distribute, maintain, or update, or enable to distribute, maintain, or update a foreign adversary-controlled application by carrying out within the land or maritime borders of the United States any of the following. And then it talks about distributing data, maintaining data, blah, 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 blah. But the key phrase is this: foreign adversary controlled application. You don't have to Google it. It has relevant exemptions. We're going to skip over that. You don't have to Google it, because in any legal document, there's going to be a definition of terms. Even if it's the word "the," if it's critical to the syntax of the piece of legislation, then "the" is defined. And, maybe that's why Bill Clinton got confused about the meaning of "is." Controlled by a foreign adversary. The term controlled by a foreign adversary means with respect to a covered company or entity that such company or other entity is a foreign person that is domiciled in, is headquartered in, has its principal place of business in, or organized under the laws, key part, of a foreign adversary country. Yes, the United States has adversary countries, folks. You may have heard of them. China, Russia, North Korea. I almost said Pakistan. Pakistan's not on the list anymore. In my opinion, if it ends in stand, it should be on the list, but I'm not in charge. Iran. You may have heard of it. Their Houthi thugs are sinking ships and shooting down $10 million or $30 million drones. Yeah, those are adversary nations. You, as a citizen, right now, today, you are not allowed to have close financial entanglements, personal relationships, or controlling interest in any of those countries. It's against the law. It's kind of against like finance law here in the United States. It's majorly against their laws. They won't allow it. You can't have a controlling interest in an Iranian base and a North Korean base. You think you can call up Kim Jong-un and be like, hey, bro, I'm trying to bring Pizza Hut to North Korea. What's good? No, you can't. It's not a two-way street. All of these companies are operating, all of these nations, I don't believe North Korea is operating here, but these nations are operating, controlling data and applications and things like that. Here in the United States, we can't do it there. They can manipulate our elections. We can't do it there. They don't have elections. That's what the bill does. All right, so that's my 2 cents. I feel like that was a nickel. That was my nickel.
There was like 25 cents. Yeah, no, and the funny thing is, I mean, overall, if someone just says, we're going to ban TikTok, I'm like, okay, do it. I have no problem.
She's
Just
like,
ban.
easy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I wish this bill would have been one sentence. It's like, this bill moves to ban TikTok from the U.S. Like, done. Like, just get it through.
I agree.
All of our bills.
That's how
should be one
legislation should be. I
Just
agree.
one sentence.
You
That's
should
all we
run.
need.
You should run again.
I know, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, if I do, every single bill I introduce is going to be one sentence. But, you know, so I was like, okay, ban TikTok. That's not a terrible idea. I talk a lot about TikTok. And again, as I'm getting more into Peter Schweitzer's book, I know that he's got a lot of content in there about TikTok that I'm very interested to read. Maybe I'll do a little mini summary next week on the show, but you know, we know that there are all of these harmful behaviors that are put on TikTok. And, you know, I described it this week, and you can tell me if you agree or not. It's almost like a personalized drug that is specific to you to hit you at like your greatest weaknesses with the most force. Like just you specifically, because it's really catered to how you think, what your interests are, the rabbit holes that you go down. And it really is like a personalized destruction. So, I mean, and that is all obviously, you know, the intent of China. They are trying to take us down. I did hear that Nancy Pelosi was in favor of this bill. So then I was like, okay, what rights am I losing? Like, how are they, like, what? This can't be right. So I think there is definitely a lot more to it than what we're being told, because if the Democrats are in favor of this, you know that there is a benefit to them in some way, and anything that benefits them is a detriment to us. But I think overall,
I've heard that this is a super short bill. If it were printed out, it'd probably fit on 3 pages. I've read every word. I don't see it. The last bill was much worse. The bill that came under whatever the last Congress number was, it was much worse. It was a Digital Patriot Act that would give the government authority to do the craziest stuff with private companies' data, which they do anyway, but it would legalize it. They wouldn't have to do it in secret.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I do have a little bit of skepticism there, but I think people need to look at this as like a TikTok recall. when you put a product out in the market and it's causing widespread harm to the consumers, you got to pull it back and you got to figure out how to make it better so it's not causing so much destruction at least. So I think people need to calm down.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why this got bipartisan support. For whatever stupid reason, because Americans, I'm sorry guys, we're dumb. We don't remember anything. It doesn't matter who championed a legislation, who fought for it, who made it happen. The president who signs it, their party gets the win. Conservatives have been against TikTok since the beginning. The libs were saying they're fascists. They're trying to cancel the internet. They're trying to ban books and censor apps that everyone loves. Now the shoe's on the other foot. They're like, yeah, we'll ban it. We'll ban it right now. Yeah, it was our idea the whole time. In fact, the Republicans stopped us from banning it sooner. This is what they'll say in 3 to 5 years. They'll say, we always wanted to ban TikTok. When Donald Trump was president and when they had Donald Trump had more of Congress than we currently have. Oh, they didn't get it done then. But us Democrats, we're about business, and we canceled TikTok. That was our first. They won't talk about the border crisis. They won't talk about any of this other stuff. They'll say our number one priority was protecting Americans from China, protecting our youths from Chinese indoctrination and propaganda. So we did what needed to be done, and we canceled TikTok. And they're going to get the win, just like they got the win for... We do lobbying and we do community organizing. The Civil Rights Act, the civil rights movement was run by Republicans, not Democrats. But a freaking Democrat signed the Civil Rights Act into law, which makes them be able to say, despite the fact that the Democratic Party literally started the KKK, they have the ability to say, we are the champions of civil rights. And the only reason that civil rights didn't get passed sooner is because the right kept us from it, which is an outright lie. But we signed it into law. This is exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. I know. Well, they're going to take credit for it, but I still think that there's going to be something in there that's going to benefit them. But I think people just need to chill out. And people keep saying that this is an attack on free speech. It has nothing to do with free speech because nobody's saying what you can and cannot say. And I mean, if we wanted to ban apps on the basis of free speech, we would have started with Facebook and Twitter a long time ago, because those were the ones that were being so heavily censored and obviously had a big impact on on how people voted, whether you want to believe that or not. But, all of these opportunities that we've had to go after social media because we know of the way that it is shaping culture and the way that people think, we would have done that long ago. That's not what this is about. So, I'm not that worried about it. And I am worried about the reaction to it. I am worried about the number of people that are like, no, I spend all day on it. What am I going to do?
Somehow you'll survive.
I know. You'll be okay.
Yeah, I appreciate the skepticism. It's good to be skeptical of the government. It's good to ask why now, what's the other foot that's going to drop. I wish the libs would do that more often. Anyway, guys, if you came here to hear So Good or No Good about the Whatever podcast, if you came here to hear about Trump and the media and the ridiculousness going on in Haiti, then you have got to watch the members only after show. It's free. It's just not on any of these apps. It's on Locals. However you're watching this, the link is there. It says join. It's free. Join my Locals community. You can click on that, and in about 7-ish minutes, I'll be over there streaming. And it's probably good to keep the cannibalism off of YouTube. The news is just weird. The only other word from me is, like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. If you're a podcast listener, rate and review. And thanks for being here. And there are almost 300 people watching this, which is a lot for live. So thank you guys for hanging out. And I've heard your calls, specifically on Locals. People have been saying that they wish that there was something earlier in the day. I work full-time job. I can't really do something early in the day, but I'm going to try something just for you guys. I'm going to try to do a few 7 a.m. broadcasts of just me. So unless I stay up way too late last night, there'll be a show tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, which will be a lot of fun, talking about people getting shot up in New York City, which is par for the course. Oh, crap. What was the other thing? I can't remember the other thing. There's that. Locals. Tomorrow morning. Yep, must not have been important. What do you got?
Well, definitely please go and subscribe on Rumble and YouTube. I put a fun video out this week in response to Katie Britt's GOP response to the State of the Union address. If you guys did not see that, it was a particularly cringy video that the Republican senator from Alabama did. But I did find a liberal woman whose response to Katie Britt was that much more cringy. So you should all go check that out because that was a pretty fun one to do. But yeah, go subscribe, Rumble, YouTube, find me on Twitter and Facebook for as long as I am allowed to be on there. And yeah, find me on all the things under Outspoken Samantha.
Awesome. Well, guys, that's all we got. We will see you next week, or I'll see you on Locals in 5 minutes or tomorrow morning. Bye.